So a lot of people who like Tudor lost their minds when they announced the P01, with good reason. It is a very weird looking watch. I actually put it into a video where I talked about ugly watches. I don't actually think this is an ugly watch, and I said that in the video. It's sort of a tool watch to the extreme, sort of like the Omega Pro Pluff. I don't think that is an ugly watch. I don't think this is an ugly watch, but if you are looking at it from an aesthetic point of view, it is not the best looking watch, but I think the cool factor overrides its looks, and that's why I like this watch. When it came out, I was sort of on the fence. Then I saw one in person and I fell in love. It comes in the traditional Tudor packaging. I bought this off of eBay. So it came with a little bit of an extra, and that is the bracelet right there. We'll talk about that in just a minute. It came with the hang tag. It's just a typical hang tag, the little booklet that it comes with, certificate of authenticity from Joma Shop, because this was originally purchased through Joma Shop. Joma Shop have these for sale for around $3,200, I believe. I bought this on eBay for under $2,600, and it was technically used, but in basically brand new condition. And then it was authenticated a second time through eBay, which I'm perfectly fine with. So this has been authenticated twice. And that was that price, under $2,600 on the strap, and including this extra Tudor Black Bay bracelet, which we're going to get into in just a minute. And if you saw from the card, I've actually been able to fit it to this watch. So this watch was a prototype made for the US Army by Rolex and Tudor. There were two different versions. There was a Rolex version, there was a Tudor version. They went with a different brand. So they actually gave the contract to, I believe it was Bulova. At least that's what I've read from articles on this exact watch. So essentially, they did not go with it. Tudor didn't make it. Rolex didn't make it. And I kind of love Tudor for making it. And I like Tudor for making watches like this, like the Black Bay Bronze, like the Black Bay Dark, but crazier watches like this, the Black Bay P01, or the Tudor Advisor, which is just a really cool, quirky watch. A lot of people don't like it. I actually love it, and that's one of the other Tudors that I definitely want to get. Third Tudor, I definitely want to get the Tudor Advisor, an alarm watch. Just some really cool watches, quirky watches from Tudor that are pretty awesome. The Pelagos is an awesome watch as well. Lots of really cool watches that Rolex would never make, and I kind of like that. And that's reason why, one of the main reasons why I actually like this watch. Another reason why a lot of people didn't like this watch is because of the dimensions. This is a 42 millimeter watch, so it is not small, especially considering the 56 millimeter lug width, and then these weird lug contraptions. We'll get into that in a minute. 14 millimeters thick, so it's a little bit over 14 millimeters thick, including that slightly boxed sapphire crystal. So pretty cool. And then obviously a very traditional, very nice black Tudor dial. So they only make this in one color. This is it. And I kind of like that as well. The locking mechanism in the actual lugs are meant for locking this bezel, which is a bi-rotating bezel. It's a 12-hour bezel, and as you can see, it goes either way. Nice clicks. I think it's only a 60 click. It's a little hard for me to use because, like I said, I have very dry hands. I've said this in many videos. So actually pushing this down, there's just a little bit of grip here, so my hand does slide, but it's very solid, feels really nice. And it doesn't actually add to that lug to lug. So you can see everything just goes straight down. The actual lugs, the end links go straight down. A lot of people don't like the strap because it is a rubberized strap. It has a rubber bottom, and it's just with sort of leather that is inlaid. I've actually turned these around because I like the way that looks, the two X's that are sort of misaligned. I really like that, so I turned them around. So technically it should not be like that. I turned those around. Rubber on the inside. There's some pattern on the inside to relieve sweat and heat and things like that. It's just a brown suede with lots of stitching, as you can see. I really like the strap. I think it looks good. These end links, a lot of people go crazy about. Again, they think it's kind of ugly. And I have to admit, it's really not that good looking, but I like it. I like the way this actually looks on my wrist. And I'm going to show it to you just now in just a second. Big, nice, grippy crown. Very, very grippy at the 4 o'clock. Another controversial sort of point on this watch. Another point was that it didn't come on a bracelet. because the original did come on a bracelet. So if you look at the archives and you look at the pictures that they have of these watches, these actually came on a bracelet. They also came on, they also had pictures of it on a, I think it was like a vulcanized rubber strap, or probably I think it was a tropic rubber strap, which had sort of like weirder end links than this. So they went a slightly different route, and it did have very, very long lugs. This has very, very long lugs. They were a little bit thinner on the prototype as well. But let me throw it on my wrist so you guys can see. Today I am wearing another very large, very quirky watch, and a watch that I absolutely love. But I've had it for a very, very long time. This is the AP Royal Oak Offshore Diver. Another watch that's around 42 millimeters that wears way bigger than the 42 millimeters. Just a very heavy watch, and kind of reminds me of this watch a lot, actually, especially when you put this watch on a bracelet, which we're going to show you in just a few minutes. So you can see, almost the same size, very similar profile almost. They're not, obviously don't look alike, but they definitely wear alike. So very quickly, I will throw this P01 on my wrist. So I have a 7.5 inch wrist, so you guys know. Yes, this does not wear small. But you got to keep in mind, this is actually selling for a really good price. And the lugs go straight down. I really love the way it looks on the strap. I actually really love the way it looks on the bracelet, but I think I prefer it on the strap. It just looks really cool on this strap on my wrist. And it wears actually smaller on the strap than it does on the bracelet. So I will do a quick shot of this on the bracelet as well. We'll do a loom shot. But you could see, I think this just looks cool. It looks like a funky watch from a brand that obviously doesn't, care. They want to do something different. They wanted to come out with something crazy, something that they don't have in the catalog that will, really be polarizing. And this is a polarizing watch. These probably aren't selling well because of it. And I don't care. I really enjoy it. So very quickly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw it on the bracelet. Excuse me. I'm going to throw it on the bracelet. I'll show it to you on my wrist. I'm going to do a completely separate video on how I actually got it on the bracelet, because the bracelet on here is actually very difficult to do. This is the bracelet, and if you're looking at it, you probably notice something weird about this bracelet, and we'll get into it. I'm not, I'm not really good at modding, and I had to mod this bracelet myself. And as I mentioned, this came with this bracelet. So this was around $2,600, let's call it. It was just under $2,600 with a Tudor Black Bay bracelet. The guy was going to try and fit it himself. He wasn't able to do it. So he included this bracelet with the purchase of this watch. And I was able to do it just through perseverance and the fact that it came with it, and I really don't have a use for it otherwise. So I decided to go for it. And if I destroyed the bracelet, I destroyed the bracelet. But guess what? It worked. I kind of destroyed the bracelet, but we'll get into that in a minute. So I just wanted to show you this before I show you the actual watch on the bracelet. You can see the end links on here. There are two different size end links on the one watch. So you have a longer end link here, and then you have a shorter end link. That's because either side is different. One has a mechanism that actually articulates, one does not. So the one that has the longer is the one where it actually articulates, I believe. So you need to actually have a bracelet that could fit this specifically, and that's where it becomes really difficult to do. And you could see on this side, I have there's a little bit of play, and then there is a gap. When you're wearing it, the gap is less noticeable, but when you're not wearing it, the gap is definitely a noticeable gap. You could see that. It's actually probably a millimeter more than it is on this side, as you could see. And this side is literally just without the end link, and it fits directly in. I'm going to do a video on exactly how I fit this, and I was able to do it. It's not that difficult, but I'll do a video if you guys really want to see how I did it. And here it is on the bracelet. So you could see it looks actually pretty cool on this bracelet. I'll throw it on my wrist so you guys can see. I have a 7.5 inch wrist. This on the bracelet wears very similar to the way it wears on the actual strap. But you can see Tudor Black Bay bracelet, and the fitment here is really good. The fitment on this side, not so good, so there is a gap. When you're looking at your watch head on, you don't notice that gap at the top, but there is definitely a gap. It's not terrible, as you can see, but I think it's unavoidable if you want to actually fit this properly to this bracelet using a Tudor bracelet. If you want to use an aftermarket bracelet, there are other bracelets that might fit this a little bit better, but I kind of like, when it comes to bracelets, now not straps, when it comes to bracelets, I like to have the actual bracelet that was meant for the watch. Now, there was no bracelet that was meant for this watch, obviously, because they didn't make one. However, I do want to have a Tudor bracelet with a Tudor watch. It's just the way it is for me. So that's it. And these bracelets, I think, retail for around $700. So I got a really good deal. The guy who actually listed this on eBay did not do a very good job. This guy actually listed it. It looked like it was all scratched up, and it was not when I received it. The bracelet, he didn't even include it in the actual auction photos. There was just a mention of it in the actual description. And I asked if he was including it. He said yes. And like I said, the case looked all scratched up. The bracelet, the strap itself, looked like it was all scratched up. The only scratches on the bracelet were on the actual buckle, just from desk diving, and they were very, very minimal. So the watch actually came, it looked basically brand new. I actually didn't care, because if it was scratched up, I would be fine with it. There's a guy on, I believe it's Instagram, that has one of these that has completely demolished this watch on purpose. He has pitted it, he has scratched it up, and it looks really cool, actually. He put it on like a weathered gray NATO strap. Looks awesome. And I think these are just like a pretty cool watch that are eventually going to have a cult following. Oh, let me show you. This still works perfectly fine. Actually works just like you would have had it on the strap. There's no difference whatsoever. Everything works as it should. I'm not sure why Tudor just don't make a bracelet for this. All they would need to do is use the existing Tudor Black Bay bracelet and then just modify it. If I'm able to do it in Watch Chris Studios or my basement, why can't they do it? It's something that would look really cool on this watch, and I think a lot of people want it, and be actually closer to that original prototype, which also makes a lot of sense. So there you go. Quickly, I'm going to do lume. I think a lume shot on this, it probably is pretty good. Tudors have pretty good lume, but let's check it out. So lume on here, very, very good. It looks really good in this light with that sort of amber light behind it on the bracelet. I just think it's a good looking watch. I know it's an ugly watch at the same time, but I really like it. I like the 4 o'clock crown. I like that it's a very quirky watch, something that, like I said, Rolex would never make, Tudor would do it, and that's why I like it. I know that Tudor and Rolex sit under the same umbrella, and I've gotten into arguments with people about this. It doesn't matter that Rolex and Tudor are two separate companies. They're owned by the same company. That's the Hans Willdorf Foundation. And Tudor will never be allowed to excel over any of Rolex's sort of territory. However, when it comes to watches like these, they can, because there's no direct competition. But the Black Bay will always be slightly spec'd below the Submariner. It's just the way it's going to be. They can even spec things a little bit higher, but they're always going to keep them under they're always going to keep them under their wing a little bit. It's just the way it is. Unfortunately, but fortunately for us, it keeps the prices low, and I think that they are occupying an area in the market where you can get a really high quality watch that's very similar to a Rolex without being a Rolex. So definitely the best alternative to a Rolex is a Tudor, and that's probably what they're going for, because Rolex has become very hard to get. Very good looking watch, very weird watch, very ugly watch. Very oddly shaped watch. There's a lot of things you could say about this watch. I think it's cool, and I think it looks really cool on this bracelet. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Do you want to see a video of how I actually created this bracelet? Tell me. It'll be a very short video, but because I'm actually not going to redo it, but it'll be a very short video, but I'd love to show you guys. Tell me what you think in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, Hit that bell icon. It's super helpful for the channel. I very much appreciate it. Please follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is WatchChrisBlog. I have some links in the description. Those links are to Amazon. If you click those links and buy anything, it helps support the channel. It doesn't cost you anything extra. However, I very much appreciate it. Anyway, thank you for logging on. I'll catch you guys in the next video.